Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Captain Mac 28 here, Farm Sim 19, Michigan Farming. We got to get some work done. It's already 6:16, so we'll tab over to our working tractors. And all right, he is all set. He should start. All right. And again, you remember from the last episode, we got to come back and do this little bit up here. That's not what I wanted. Macaroni. All right, guys and gals. Now, I discovered in the other two videos that I was really having an issue with sound. So we're trying it a little different. All right. So hopefully you can hear me much better. I'm using the area mic on the laptop. Now I'm recording this directly for YouTube, not through Twitch, because hotel internets are not nearly fast enough to stream. So that's what's happening. Now, we're going to knock out some fields, and just two plows are running now. A worker with a leased plow, in case you missed it on the last episode, because of a mishap. I inadvertently stopped the recording, so you missed out on some of that. But let's face it, it was just doing this and listening to me drone on. So I'm liking this map. I'm resisting the urge to do passive income. And we are going to do oilseed radish. So we'll be getting the planter going shortly. We got to get the cultivator going. Our planter that we own, I believe it does. I better do oilseed radish. No, look at that. See, we sold our planter. There's an issue. All right. So, mistake number 6 billion. But that's okay. I didn't like that planter anyway. We want a planter that cultivates in terms of oilseed radish. But we'll probably lease one, because we only have $42,000 left. So, is my guy going over there? There he is, moving along nice and slow. And I may, once it gets dark, I'll end this episode. And then I'll probably knock out the work and not film it, not record it. I mean, we're just plowing away. So, on another channel, I'm going to start my model railroading journey on YouTube, and this is my grandson's layout. So they're young, so the layout's going to be very simple, but they have a 24 by 24 foot room, but they need about 6 feet chopped off one side. That's for the entry door, the washer and dryer, and a refrigerator. So 6 feet, that means 18 feet. And 18 by 24 feet. Still a great layout. I'm going to have, the plan is to have a loop-to-loop folded dog bone type. But on one of the loops, it's going to be fairly big, and it's going to have a mountain and going down to what we'll call the country or farmland. And so the kids can operate on the loop, either one, and then go back through the yard and then go out the other end of the yard and go around the loop. And they're not, I mean, they're kids. The passenger trains are cool. So I'm going to have a station at each place, and it'll be, they can stop their passenger train. And for freight trains, they're not going to want to operate, but Grandpa will. And so I'm going to have a coal tipple so we can load coal cars. And but the coal will be taken to a power plant in the city, which is on the other side of the layout. And then in the country area, we're going to have I decided on a stockyard, and we'll move some cattle over to basically a slaughterhouse or a meat packing plant in the city. And then on the back wall of the yard, I'm going to have my warehouse, a 6-bay warehouse where each bay is a separate industry, and you have to fish the cars in and out. Well, that's for me to play. And so I'm going to do a loop, and I haven't figured it out quite yet. I want them to be able to leave the yard and go around the city and come back through the yard and go out. They'll have to throw one switch, and it'll either be, you know, a switch for the inner loop or the outer loop, basically. The outer loop will be the mountain loop, and the inner loop will be the country loop. And of course, you'll have the coal on the outer loop and the stockyard on the inner, and opposite sides of the bench work, so you'll have enough hills / trees / partial mountain blocking everything, so you can't see the stockyard from the coal loading facility. And I think that the kids will like that. They're just going to run trains around the loop and watch them run through the scenery. So it's going to be tabletop construction. It's going to be a permanent layout, so I'm just going to do 2-foot by 8-foot tabletops, corner units, and then for the loops, it'll be, basically a sheet of plywood or 2, and then cut appropriately so we can fit the mountain, the farm, country scene, and the city scene. There's not enough room in 18 by 24 feet, but you would think there would be, but there's just not. Well, I have some constraints on that space too, because it's going to be their bedroom. And so all right, we need to do a backing maneuver for this first one. There we go. Now we'll start going back the other way. They're going to have a triple bunk bed, so it's the size of the footprint of a twin bed. They want a 10 by 12 foot open play area. And they're going to have one dresser that's going to be out in the room, though I'm going to try to negotiate and get that dresser put under the layout. And then the other 2 dressers also under the layout. Even if I have to buy them 3 dressers, 1 for each child, that are the appropriate size, in other words, low. So it should be pretty decent. Single track main line, loop to loop, folded dog bone style. And so I'm looking forward to it. Any ideas, chime in. I do, right now, my channel's pretty young. I read all the comments and try to respond, even if it's just a quick thanks or whatever. I do try and respond to everybody. Yeah, a little bit. Cut the corner a little bit. It's hard to. That's not hard, but I just mean I go as fast as possible on the turns and just try to make a U-turn and go. So, but anyway, we're doing it in HO. We're doing the railroad in HO scale, and so it ought to be pretty cool. Pretty cool. The yard will be your basic model railroad yard, but I'm actually not going to build every single track. I'm going to have what I need, and if I can swing it, and I probably can, I'll get the turnouts purchased and installed. But a lot of the engine servicing facility and that kind of thing will be, even the warehouse, the runaround for the warehouse track. I'll put some turnouts in and they'll just end on flat ground. So we're going to do tabletop. So it'll just be a plywood top. And then I'm going to use foam board, and I'll build up as high as I need. And I'm going to purchase the shaper. It's basically a hot wire, and it comes in a three styles of cutter, so that I can cut gullies, I can cut straight lines, different various things. It's a pretty good unit, and it cuts through the foam insulation board. This is the pink board or the green board or the blue board. Anyway, it's extruded foam. It's not the white, what do they call that? Like they make coolers out of, cheap coolers. They make out of that white styrofoam. The beaded one. This is the solid foam. And you can get it in 1.5 inches, and so I'm going to have the basic, everything will be covered in 1/2 inch because it's cheaper. And then I'll buy 1.5 inches and I'll build up, so I'll have some different elevations. The track itself actually will be all one elevation. Kids don't need to mess around with trying to get a train to go uphill. Some model railroads can have some pretty steep grades that will affect performance. You can go an HO scale, you can do a 3% grade, you can do 4% grade, but I've seen some that have a 7% grade, but then that was only one direction. You're only going downhill. So anyway, you'd be hard pressed to get a model engine to go up a 7% grade while pulling a dozen cars. So anyway, so I'm looking forward to it. It eventually will have an interchange with 2 tracks probably, and the branch will go around both loops and out and back. So the branch itself will be a loop to loop, and it's not the best of the best. And I may change my mind on that. The branch may be just literally point A to point B. I may do that. It is much more desirable. And that if one of or more than one of the grandchildren really decide they like operations, then we'll have something where we can really operate. We can pull coal out of the mountains and deliver it to the city, pull cattle out of the country, deliver it to the city, and then we can have almost any kind of car come on the layout at the interchange yard, and then they can I'll have to add industries on each loop just for the branch, and the train can go out along the branch, and it can receive cars from the main line at the interchange yard. So we're looking at a warehouse, a coal loading facility, a power plant, cattle loading facility, and a slaughterhouse. And And then on the branch, so the branch will be another industry, basically. And they'll pick up and drop off cars from the main line. And then as a train goes out the branch in an operating session, it will pick up and drop off cars at the branch industries, which technically are going to be right next to, but figuratively, do you say, a separate railroad. The real estate is such that I may not be able to have a branch line, the way I would really like it. But it's going to all be modern. They're little kids. They like modern. They like to see what they see now running up and down the California coast. So, I can have a smaller, modern diesel that can run in either direction perfectly fine. Work the branch line, so it'll just go out, short hood forward, and then come back long hood forward, and it makes no difference to the diesel. We are getting kind of dark. So what I'm going to do, I have AnyRail. It's a program, and I'm going to use that to just work on designs that will fit. So if you're interested in model railroading, look for that on my channel, Captain Mac 28. One of my people is playing Stormworks. I bought that game, and it's just not really for me. I thought it would be cooler than it is, but anyway. So we'll see how far we get. It's still, there is sunset right there, I believe, or right there. Yeah, anyway, that's west. So, yeah, I think that looks to be like sunset right there. And so it'll be dark soon. It's 1925. Oh, you see my temperatures now are in Celsius, and something broke. I don't know what, but I'm in a playing mood, not a fixing mood, and it crashes to desktop every time I try to change back to Fahrenheit. So I can deal with that, but they're just numbers, and just make sure we got the right temperature, right ground temperature to put our oilseed radish in the ground, and then to put our soybeans and corn. Soybeans and corn are 50 degrees, and you see here they're 10 degrees. Oilseed radish is 6, so we're just about there. And we're not going to do grass. We're going to do grass in the fall. We're going to try to get it in these last few days of fall, and then harvest it in these first few days of spring, mid-spring. Anyway, went away for a minute and it got really dark. So there's the moonrise. Yeah, it's getting kind of dark. I don't know how long I've been recording. I forgot to. But we'll go a little further. A little further. And then when I come back for episode 4, we'll have the plowing done. I mean, you guys are going to stay with me for a lot of this farm work. I'm not getting out of it that easy. Not that easy. If I got to do it, you got to watch. But we have model trains to talk about while we do such things. And we have investing to talk about. So I was going over with my son the plan. If you need I am not a financial advisor, so there is just no way that you should take my advice. But most people, they just can't stand following a budget. They either make it's a fantastic budget, but it's so much work, they got to sit down a half hour every day and fill in their budget. And, no one wants to do that. So, here's the easy way to budget. Every time you receive money, take 10% of the net and put it in your savings account. Period. Take 30%. You might have to note this down on paper. That goes towards rent or mortgage, depending. 30% covers all of your automobile expenses, maintenance, gas, insurance, and car payments. Okay? And then 30% goes to your bills. If you're servicing debt, it comes out of there. By the way, don't service debt. Get out and stay out. Yeah, we're really getting dark. And then, like in my son's case, 30% of his net could not pay his rent. So, you absolutely have to get a cheaper place or a roommate. So he got a roommate. He maintains the place himself, and he gets a roommate every time. So good for him. And easy way to budget. But what do you do with that 10%? So then you figure, very first thing you got to do is have some money stocked away. So you say, how much does it cost for me to live for a month? Now, let's just say it's $1,000. Now, many people are way more than that, but just for an example. So you just multiply that by 6, that's $6,000. You put $6,000 in your savings account, but then go to your bank and start a money market account. It pays a little bit more interest. You usually can write like 6 checks a month. That is your emergency fund. Okay? It's not going to make you rich by any means. But you can also not touch it unless you lose your job, your transmission goes, your refrigerator completely breaks down, you got to buy a new one. Things like that. And so you have, in this case, $6,000. So then what do you do next? Do you have insurance? Do you have retirement with your job? Never, ever depend on the man to pay for your retirement years. Okay? Government might not be able to pay when you retire, depending on your age. Your company that you work for 30 years might, your last year, go bankrupt and say, ha! Your retirement's gone. 0. Good luck, buddy. That happens. Happened to me. I worked for a major airline, and we fought tooth and nail to not file bankruptcy, and the company filed bankruptcy anyway. destroyed our retirement. Now we have been fighting and working hard to get it back, and also, you know, I'm fairly well compensated, and I stock away some money for retirement. So if you have a retirement, you still need to buy a mutual fund or 2 or 3. Okay. Now, some mutual funds, you need several $1,000s to get in. Some you can buy with $1,000. Some few are 500, and there's a couple like Pax World, PAX, their balance fund. You can get in with $250. So if you're just starting out, just based on that, get that fund, and you'll be in good shape. That's basically a set it and forget it. Okay, that's for retirement. All right, so now you may or may not be completely safe, but at least you got something going on. And of course, if you're in your 20s, you got a really good chance of taking care of business in your 60s with the several mutual funds. But you got to add to them. You reinvest the interest and dividends, and put in a little bit every month or every quarter or whatever you can do. In the case of someone like my son, who's low-paying job, paycheck to paycheck, can barely afford to take that 10% and give it to himself. He saves up. His minimum subsequent investment in his mutual fund is $25. So he's putting in $25 a quarter. Okay, but at least he's doing it. He's in his mid-20s, so, as he earns more money, he'll be able to put more money in his mutual fund, and that's going to be his retirement. Now, you can also start an IRA, so I highly recommend that. And you can control your IRA yourself, and it's basically just a bunch of mutual funds. So, another way to go. And after that, now you're taking your little 10% of your net, and now you want to invest. So you can buy more mutual funds and just not do any of the crazy stuff that I do. And I don't know if I make more, but I don't. I call it hobby money, which some people, they just no, none of my money is hobby money, and I understand that. But I do stocks using a book I highly recommend called The 10-Minute Millionaire. And I do options using all the knowledge you can learn. And believe me, I know a minuscule amount. And I trade options. Now what I'm doing is when I buy a decent stock, I try to get 100 shares. I may have to buy it in parts, like Apple. That's expensive, so I'm buying a little bit every month. And then I'll figure out my average, and that'll be my secret number. And then I'll sell covered calls above that number, and just churn, try to make some income. So, I'm making $400 a month. So it pays a few bills or puts gas in both my cars, and or whatever. I mean, whatever you could put it towards. But you got to build up to it, and of course you have to own 100 shares of a stock. Apple's trading in the 140s right now. American Airlines is trading in the 20s. Ford is in the teens. U.S. Steel, I don't remember, but I have 100 shares of U.S. Steel, and so you can churn these for income. Sometimes it's not a good time to sell a covered call. You may still get one sold and may only bring in $10. Okay, well, that's 2 cups of coffee, I mean, so whether you think that's good or not, it is what it is, right? As you build up, don't take that 400, leave it in there, and all of a sudden, after a few months, you got a good chunk of change. Now you can find another stock. I'm waiting till I finish getting 100 shares of Apple. I'm going to buy 100 shares of Boeing. I'm going to look at a couple others, and I'll just churn those and do covered calls. Covered means you own the 100 shares of stock, so you're covered. You can sell a call and try to make money that way without owning the stock. But, a covered call gets you're selling, so you take in the money right up front, and then you wait till expiration, or buy it back if you're really nervous about it. But I generally just leave my covered calls go to expiration. And you get to keep that money. So say you collect $40 on a covered call, and it expires, that $40 is in your account. It's yours. So I just leave it there. My account's gone from $5,000 to $17,000. So I'm not getting rich, but I'm steadily increasing. And there's all kinds of get-rich-quick schemes out there, and that's all they are. This also is a scheme, if you want to call it that. I mean, people, options are kind of a weird animal. They scare a lot of people. And some of the wild-ass things you can do is just ridiculous to me. It's just like, there's no way I'm doing that. But my covered calls are about as safe as you can get. And then I do credit spreads. Only put credit spreads and call credit spreads, depending on if I'm bullish or bearish. And those you don't have to own the stock. You sell a close to the money, but out of the money, put or call, and then you buy a little bit further out of the money, put or call. Buy 2 puts or 2 calls. And those you watch. If I collect $100, my goal is to try to keep $50 of it. Now, if it's going my way and it's just like, man, this is like way far away from going in the money, I'll let it go. And so I let almost 70, 75%, let's say 3/4 of them go to expiration, and I keep all the money. You gotta be careful. If you really push it and go in the 30% range, you gotta watch. You might make $200 and then try to keep 100, where I'll make $100 and let it go to expiration and keep the 100. But my $100 is a little safer because I'm out at the 15%. So there's an 85% chance that my stock is going to stay out of the money. And so, yay, good for me. If I do down around the 30%, then I will manage that and buy back the credit spread when I'm at the 50% down. There we go. Gotta remember what I'm doing. So there's the moon. That's the moonlight, and so you can see that was somewhere over there was the sunset, and it's pretty dark. Not too bad. There's my other guy out there. You can see he's still working. But we got 2 more rows here, and I think I got. Well, I can see it looks like we got some rows over there to knock out. So we'll go back. But I'm going to finish these 2 rows and I'll call it a night. And then I'm going to finish up. Because it's only 1 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, August 10th, 2021. And I am I'm in Mexico City in my hotel room. And I'm going to meet at 5 p.m. local time, which will be 6 p.m. On this clock here on the lower right-hand corner, the real-time clock, not the game clock. And I'll go have dinner. So, Yahoo for that. And we'll get this field will be done, and I'll just churn away at the other fields. We own 4 big fields, and these plows that I have are not very big at all. I'm not a big fan of the plows in the game. I wish they had. There is an old John Deere plow that. Something around 9 meters or 7 meters, so it's pretty big. But it's a mod, and it's got some problems, unfortunately. So that's life in the farm simulation game genre, etc., ad nauseum. So, and that worker didn't have his lights on. Courseplay workers, I guess, don't turn their lights on. This is guided steering that I'm using now, so that's me in the tractor. It's not a worker. There I am, but still got my sunglasses on. There's no way to take them off. And I leave the lines on, the dots. I'm not really worried if it's realistic or not. I leave them. Ba-dum-bum. So other than seasons not actually working right, which is a shame, I have all my other mods working cohesively together. So the last thing I do, the last strategy I do is those credit spreads, but 2 of them. So you sell a put credit spread and a call credit spread, and that's called an Iron Condor. And that's when you think the underlying stock will stay range bound pretty steadily within its a range of prices, and as long as it stays between your 2 short positions. Remember, you have a short and a long, or the short is a sell and the long is a buy. So you want to sell the expensive one and buy the cheap one. That's your insurance. So on an Iron Condor, you have 2 sales and 2 purchases for a total of 4 contracts. So the purchases, they're way out of the money, but the sale ones, they're closer to at the money, a little bit closer. Like I say, I do about 15 to 20%. So they're still pretty far out of the money. And I may tighten that up a little bit. I don't know. I'm still learning myself. Most of the books and online courses and stuff, they say, 30%, that's pretty much golden area. That's where you should be. But then they all have you manage to get out of the position with 50% profit. So again, if you're taking $100, the idea is to keep 50 of it. So I take in $50 and let it go to expiration and keep $50. So I can't say what I'm doing is better, because if it goes against me and I've got like 3 days to go to expiration, I can't even get out of it. I mean, at 3 days to go, to get out of a sale, you have to purchase it, which means you have to find somebody else out there in the world that's selling. Well, there may not be any. So you might not be able. If you wait too long, you won't be able to get out. Now, that being said, there's weeklies that can be managed. And so there's sellers and buyers out there, especially on very well-known stocks. All right. Well, it is 2041 game time, and we are definitely in the throes of night. The moon is had hidden behind that cloud up there, and you can't look straight up in this game, so it's kind of stuck. But yeah, we're here. Thank you for watching. I'm going to knock out this field, and I'm just going to keep on going for a while until it gets just basically too black to see. And I'll come back on when some of this plowing is done. We've got planting to do, and it's going to be the same. But the planters at least are a little bit bigger, so it won't take so long. All right. If you like what you see, if you like my ramblings and raves and rages and all that stuff, give me a like, a follow, a subscribe. No, there's no following on. This is only YouTube. So like and subscribe, and thumbs up. I appreciate it. Again, it's a new channel. I'm not monetized. You're not going to have to suffer through ads. They may come someday, but I have 17 followers. You need 1,000 before they'll even put ads on your channel. So YouTube kind of got sucky when they changed that, but that's the way it is. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you on the farm. Good day.